Hi, welcome back to On the Roads. Today we're going to talk about state residency and why we changed to South Dakota from Arizona, and maybe a little bit about our journey to get up to South Dakota to make it happen.
Our nice scenic drive. We're Kim and Doug with On the Roads.
Come join us for our slow travel adventures around the world.
So why did we need to change our residency? Firstly, we no longer have a physical home address as we sold all of our belongings, our cars, and our housing. And most states require for you to be in their state to declare residency at least 30 days. And lastly, and probably one of the other bigger reasons, is that we just didn't want to burden our family and friends to have our mail sent to their home addresses.
So one of the things South Dakota did was many years ago, they established themselves as a kind of a freedom state, if you will, and they made these changes to their state constitution to allow these residents, and they cater to the RVers of the world and the nomad travelers, and therefore you can establish your residency one day out. So it's kind of a forward-looking state. It's kind of cool.
Very helpful for our long-term travel when we honestly don't know when we'll be back in the States.
Okay, so why South Dakota? Well, there's obviously 8 different states that we could have gone to, with Florida, Texas, Tennessee, Vermont, Nevada, South Dakota, Wyoming, and Alaska. But South Dakota had the most reasonable expectations for establishing the residency. They only required a one-night stay, and of course the bureaucratic paperwork, which Kim is much more in tune with because I don't do bureaucracy.
I do the admin work. So, what do you need to do to establish residency in South Dakota? First, you need to sign up for, if you're not planning on living in the state, you need to sign up for a mail forwarding service. South Dakota recognizes 3 companies for mail forwarding service that will be accepted by the Department of Motor Vehicles. One is Dakota Post, and 2 is the company that we ended up choosing, which is Postal Annex / Anytime Mailbox. Now, both of these services offer mail forwarding, electronic, so they'll send you an email of your mail that's been scanned, the front part of it, and then for additional fees you can pay to have them open it up and scan the contents. It's a yearly fee, and I don't recall the exact amount. I want to say it was about $180 for the year.
Well, actually, going back to that, they scan and open your mail. Were you ever nervous about that aspect at all?
I must admit I didn't really give it a thought until you just said it right now. So,
Well, actually, I did look into this, and they are licensed and bonded, and therefore you have a little bit of a trust factor there. You can't go back to them if something awry goes, but in the meantime, they are licensed and bonded.
yeah, and just recently, being that we're in the tax season, our W-2s, all of our tax forms that were not electronic, were sent there, and had complete confidence in them opening up our financial details. So, as I mentioned, you sign up for the service about $180 to $200 annually. Small fees for scanning or mail forwarding. And actually, I've had 2 scenarios recently. One where I had to forward mail to my mother-in-law, and so they did that for just the regular postage fee. And then I had another scenario where I had a replacement credit card be sent from the company, the mail forwarding company, to a location in San Jose, Costa Rica. Now, I must admit that did cost me a fair penny, but that was that had nothing to do with, it was that I needed it overnight, so I had to pay a lot of money for that. But their services are nominal, and they just come via email. You go to their website and look at the contents and decide what you need to do with the mail. So you need to do this probably at least a month prior to you going to South Dakota to get your driver's license. And the reason why you need it in a month is that you need to file a change of address with the post office. The post office can take up to 10 business days to process that change of address. There's also another form that needs to be completed, and I'll have Doug share that link below. And that also needs to be filed. And then you need to receive at least 2 pieces of mail at that location. So yes, you will actually be driving to that location to pick up 2 pieces of mail. Second step is that you want to make a reservation at a RV camping site or a hotel site, and the mailing address that you have on there needs to be the new mailing address that you've just signed up with the mail forwarding service. That will be your proof that you have a South Dakota address, and that will be on the invoice. And you take that invoice to the DMV along with, excuse me, I'm going to have to check my notes on this, proof of person. And proof of person is that you just need to show a photo ID. So the photo ID could be a passport or your former state's driver's license. You also need to show proof of Social Security, which can either be your Social Security card or a copy of a W-2.
Yeah, we had to order new Social Security cards because I lose mine constantly.
And we didn't want to share our financial information with the clerk at the Department of Motor Vehicles. So you can go on to the website to order your Social Security card, and I want to say it took about 10 days, a week and a half for delivery of that.
Why would you share financial information with them?
Because if the proof of Social Security is a W-2
Oh, okay.
that has financials.
Okay, cool. 2 pieces of mail.
And 2 pieces of mail. Also, suggest to make an appointment with the DMV in advance, and so you're not standing in line or sitting in line waiting to be called. Now, we had a bit of a snafu because I had researched another company that we didn't end up contracting with, thinking that they would be acceptable, and they were not. We went to the DMV and we were turned away saying that this is not a valid company that we recognize. So we had to go back to the location and redo everything and then go back to the DMV. Now we ended up waiting about an hour, which wasn't too bad, but just trying to help avoid back and forth for yourselves.
So we took off from Phoenix, Arizona, went over to Albuquerque, and then spent a night there, and we drove up to Colorado and spent a night or 2 with some family that we have in Colorado. And then we went up to Estes Park. That was kind of fun. We kind of made a tour out of this whole thing. We did the western states, and then
we had a beautiful scenic tour. We had stopped in Estes Park because I wanted to stay at the Overlook Hotel, which was the inspiration for The Shining. But as we pulled into town, we came upon just elk wandering around the town. They were in the municipal building, so we pulled over, and hopefully Doug can share some shots here.
Yeah, these elk are well known for living in the town, within the town borders, and everybody kind of caters to them. They're a nuisance for the police to keep tourists from stopping and clogging up the streets with taking pictures of these elk. You can get pretty close to them, but anyhow, it was very fun to see these elk wandering around town.
So then we just kind of went up through Wyoming, Nebraska, over to South Dakota.
That was a long drive.
I think that was an 11-hour drive that
Right,
day.
11-hour drive.
And not only that, then we lost an hour because of time zone change. So, yeah, that was a bit fun. And then the next day we go to the DMV and the post mailbox location, and then we got our driver's license. And that was really cool. I was really excited to get the driver's license. I took a photo of my license and whited out all the private stuff and posted it to friends and family to say, yay!
Found this information helpful or useful, or if you have different information, leave a comment for us, and like and subscribe, and get more content just like it later on down the road.
Cheers. Is that done?
Yeah, that's done.
This is Kimmy's international sign from now on.
Okay.